Leavitt argued forcefully for women's equality. According to one newspaper report of a meeting at St Paul's Church in Christchurch,
now 6:48.
Mary Leavitt considered that woman, as an integral part of humanity, was entitled to freedom under the law of God.
Zion is the
It was said that
imposter.
women could not fulfill certain duties, that they could not, for instance, be judges. But she contended that though all women were not fit to be judges, neither were all men. The latter fact didn't prevent men from being allowed to study the law. The former fact prevented men.
I was the
But
first
the WCT was
child.
a narrow, anti-alcohol, pro-women's
Red and
rights
white
movement, as
seconds.
historian Dr. Raywin
Everyone
Dalziel wrote in her essay
to
on
be
the WCTU.
following the Do Everything policy, the WCTU worked for social reform on a broad front. Its members visited prisons, set up kindergartens,
look
and ran
at
clubs for
my
young mothers.
heart
The WCTU provided evening classes in
snowball
cooking, sewing, carpentry, and Bible instruction, and a club for boys. And even though Mary Leavitt
Zion.
advocated some radical ideas, the WCTU
killed
generally
me.
wasn't seen as a radical organisation.
After all, it was led by devoutly Christian middle and upper class women. It wasn't some coven of anarchist communist agitators. So how could any upstanding Kiwi bloke object if his daughter wanted to sign a pledge not to drink alcohol and help out at a Bible class?
As a history professor, Ian Tyrrell wrote in a paper about the WCTU,
The Women's Christian Temperance Union was a bridge between home and church on the one hand and social and political action on the other.
But of course, the Temperance Union wasn't some perfect organisation which never did anything wrong. As Dr. Tyrrell says,
Historians have generally portrayed the WCTU in Australia as a group of religious bigots and fanatical wowsers.
wowser, by the way, is a dismissive term for someone who preaches against the dangers of alcohol.
and while New Zealand historians tend to have more positive views of the WCTU than their Aussie counterparts, there are clearly aspects which were problematic.
With the benefit of hindsight, it's clear the Temperance Union's idea that outlawing alcohol would lead to some kind of utopia was pure fantasy.
Yeah, prohibition in the United States led to a huge growth in organised crime, and illegal beer houses in Aotearoa were also hotbeds for criminal activity as late as the 1960s and 70s.
Māori women who joined the Temperance Union had to take a pledge
And-
that they would never receive moko kaiwai, reflecting a prejudice against Māori culture from many Europeans at the time.
But many wahine Māori still set up local union chapters in their communities. Why?
At
Well,
least I got
alcohol contributed to
90
land
extra
alienation.
beans.
Grog sellers targeted Māori attending the native land court to trap them in debt and force them to sell land.
So while the WCTU had some skeleton